Okay, so moving from the Great Barrier Reef, Ella is going to take us to the country. So our next speaker is Ella Dewilde from QUT. The theme for her presentation is the role of transdisciplinary science in addressing research gaps in sustainable development. And her presentation title is Fit for Use, Assessing the Quality of Available Data Used for Agricultural Sustainability Metrics. Maybe the title's changed a little, but I'll pass over to Ella, and we look forward to listening to your research. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, the title has changed a little bit. I got some useful advice from a writing coach on making my title more assertive, so I'm trying to incorporate some of that work into this presentation. Yeah, thank you for having me. Before I start, I'd like to thank my supervisors. So Professor David Rowlings, Professor Louisa Coughlin, Dr. Elaine Mitchell, and Dr. David Tucker. Their support over the past year has made my first year as doctorate really enjoyable. And because of them, I'm able to study something I'm really passionate about, which is the need for fit-for-purpose data used in agricultural sustainability metrics. So I'm sure all of us involved in any sort of sustainability work have some sort of idea of the significance of livestock, specifically cattle, to global greenhouse gas emissions and environmental impacts. Most recent work estimates that beef production makes up to 1/4 of the world's total greenhouse gas emissions, which is an almost unfathomable scale of impact. Now, because of this, the beef industry in Australia is under increasing pressure to demonstrate environmental sustainability. And as a result, sustainability has become an operation. So in Australia, over 40% of our land mass is used for livestock grazing. So for beef products, the on-farm segment of production can make up to 85% of the supply chain's total greenhouse gas emissions. Now, because of this, sustainability initiatives are mainly concentrated. But when cattle production activities cover at least 40% of the continent, this is no small feat. So measuring and reporting sustainability may be done for different purposes. It might be for mandatory reporting, which is becoming more important under incoming legislation in Australia and around the world. Voluntary standards, including industry or organizational goals, so like a carbon neutral goal, for example, or sustainability certifications. So this would include the stickers that you see on your food products. Those would be credentials and so. Data and information are needed for all of those. So regardless of the purpose, demonstrating sustainability begins with and relies on the same thing, data. There are two important characteristics or categories to consider about data used for sustainability metrics. So data availability, the spatial, temporal, and the parameter coverage that a data set offers. And then the data type refers to the format and its application. So is it an indicator? Is it primary or secondary data, or are we using proxies? Now, for sustainability reporting, we need these attributes for the data to be of sound quality or fit for purpose. We need fit for purpose data to make sure that reporting of sustainability metrics is accurate and that our trajectories of sustainability performance are accurate. This is even more important when we consider the footprint of beef production, as we've seen. So errors in sustainability data for agriculture must be avoided. So it's absolutely imperative that the data used for sustainability metrics is fit for purpose. The problem of fit for purpose data is well known in research, especially in more recent years, as we've seen an exponential increase in indicators, metrics, and reporting frameworks that are used for on-farm sustainability. So these two excerpts I've chosen from journal articles summarize the problem very well. So without quality fit for purpose data, we know that the results and metrics from that data will not be robust or accurate. So these results will only be as good as the underlying data. Now, when it comes to agricultural sustainability, the beef industry has very much taken the lead here. So they're the ones measuring and reporting on sustainability. And so this begs a very important question. The problems that we researchers see in data quality, are they also perceived by the industry? There is a clear need to engage directly with industry. We cannot hope to understand or address these problems in sustainability without talking to the people who are making the decisions on what to measure, how to measure, and what data to use. In talking with individuals in Australia's beef industry, there are two key things that I wanted to learn. So what problems do they see with current data and information, and what affects their decision-making on sustainability metrics? So over the past few months, I spoke with 21 individuals involved in Australia's beef industry. So the majority of these individuals work for pastoral companies, processing companies, and major customers of Australian beef. The individuals I spoke with were always those in positions related to sustainability and at a level of seniority where they were the ones making decisions that influenced their organizations. I also spoke with a few experts, so consultants, researchers, and government officials who were also involved in agricultural sustainability as well. So across all the interviews with industry, three main problems in data continuously reappeared. So in a country like Australia, where some of our farms are the size of some states in the US, scalability of sustainability initiatives and measurements is a massive issue. So 73% of interviewees said that the scalability of data is a dominant challenge that they face. Underrepresentation is also a key challenge, so particularly for the northern half of Australia. Now, what this means, so historically, agricultural research and now the data sets from that have been very focused on the southern systems, the southern half of Australia. And now if we try to apply those data sets and processes to the northern part of Australia, which are quite different environments, we see some problems in applying that data. And then uncertainty as well. So 85% of all interviewees said that they are uncertain about what sustainability metrics they should be using. So interestingly, this was more often said by individuals who work for companies based around Southern Australia. So it appears like they have an abundance of information relative to Northern Australia, and that sort of led to them being a little bit spoiled for choice. So though not directly related to data quality, this was another major outcome of the interviews that has really important implications. So over and over, I was rhetorically asked, who is going to pay for it? Who is going to pay for it? This was always said to me after we talked about data sets and measurements and the need to improve them. We can also see the frustration here from one of the people I spoke to. So they can see the problems with current data and its uses, but changes are still cost prohibitive. So industry sees the need for more fit for purpose data, but currently it is cost prohibitive and it ties in with sector-wide lock-ins as well, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So what are the implications of these key findings and how do we address the problems that came up during these discussions I had? Well, to address scalability and uncertainty in measurements, first it will require industry reaching a consensus on what to measure and how. And then to achieve scalability and accurate regional representation, methods and data types need to be standardized. So this is critical to be able to compare sustainability performance between regions, between supply chains, and then eventually across commodities as well. A hurdle for this, it's also a major challenge found, is the lack of cooperation within the industry. And that's mainly because the sustainability environment is still a competitive advantage between competing companies. So this doesn't exactly foster a collaborative environment where data and data sharing is concerned. And now again, who is going to pay for it? It is a very valid question. I believe this also strongly ties in with the previous slide on industry cooperation. It became very obvious during the interviews that companies are not willing to invest or take the leap with improving data or metrics, because this would benefit their competitive as well. There is no first mover advantage for this. And that's also why we keep seeing everyone going in different directions. This is a significant institutional lock-in that's hindering sustainable development as a whole. And I think a lot of people who presented today would agree that this is a major problem that still needs to be dealt with on a bigger scale. So what we've learned from engaging with industry is that we need more accurate, standardized on-farm data. So to do this, first, we need to address the disconnect in investment. We'll recognize the need for investment, but whose role is it and to what extent? Defining whose job it is to collect and verify this new data, that needs to also be explicitly decided. So far, sustainability in the beef industry has been a very neoliberal approach, so a free market approach, and now we've ended up in this funding stalemate. And without clearly defining responsibilities, the burden of investment and measurement may fall disproportionately on one group rather than across industry and stakeholders. So this work in engaging with Australia's beef industry has shown there is a great need for more fit-for-purpose data. It also demonstrates the value of transdisciplinary research and cross-sectoral work. So I'm a soil scientist by education. The research team I work with, we do a lot of work in processes and applying new technologies for this sort of work. And so by doing this, we are starting to get more to the industry side of things and seeing the commercial value in some of these technologies we've been working on. So there are several technologies now that have been proved to be useful research tools, and now it's absolutely time to start working with industry and finding the commercial worth and applications of these. Thank you very much. I welcome any questions now.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ella. What a great presentation. I'm sure your research team and your supervisors who are here today will agree that you've really done a great job. You've made your research really accessible to people like me, and you really presented some startling data on the Australian beef industry. And the thing that I was impressed with is you've highlighted the importance for researchers to engage with industry, and also about, assessing the quality of that available data. Would anybody like to ask Ella a question? Please feel free to put on your mic, unmute yourself if you like. I do have a question for you.
Absolutely.
So for the sake of this conference and transdisciplinary research, how do you think that interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary collaboration has played a role in your research and your study?
That's a very good question. I think I've been aware from the very moment I started my research that it would be a transdisciplinary approach. I think by definition, sustainability is transdisciplinary. So from the get-go, I was looking to involve as many different fields of study as I could. So not just looking at the agricultural or the data side of things, but to straight away sort of start getting into the social science side of it as well. And because of that, that's why I have 4 supervisors across so many different fields.
Fantastic.
Trying to get as many points of view as I can and make sure I'm doing. I have a robust methodology and approach to this project.
4 supervisors. That's great. And did you say they are from different disciplines?
Yes. So my principal supervisor, I've worked with him for a long time. I'm very lucky to have, he's an agricultural scientist with a lot of ties to industry as well. So that was a major thing that actually facilitated a lot of this work. The people that I interviewed, we have some existing relationships with a few of them. So they were very happy to then put feelers out with their colleagues. So it sort of snowballed from there. So that was wonderful. And then Louisa Coughlin, she's an environmental economist. So I'm very happy to have her on board. And then we've got a forest ecologist who's wonderful as well when I'll get to the natural capital side of things. And then Elaine Mitchell, she's got a history for working in this field as well in the industry. And now as an academic, she's seen a lot of this work as well. Yeah.
So your research really is the epitome of what this conference is all about. And we thank you for being here. And you did a really fantastic job, Ella. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.